The collected teachings of Luang Por Chaya from the December 17, 2010 talk, The Requirements for Happiness, given at Theravada Dhamma Hall in Daly City, California. This is an auspicious occasion for all of us, and this is the first time for me to give a Dhamma talk in the Dhamma Hall of the Theravada Dhamma Society in Daly City, California. The topic of my Dhamma talk today is The Requirements for Happiness. It is human nature that everyone is longing, searching and striving for peace and happiness in life. But in reality, most of the time it is not discoverable. We need to discover the reason for this and correct it. The cause of happiness is not lying in the outer world, but in our inner world. We have to improve our inner life by developing our mind. There are 4 requirements for peace and happiness. They are: 1. Believing in the law of nature, the law of cause and effect, or that every action has an effect. 2. Upholding moral conduct. 3. Striving for self-improvement. And 4. Developing mental culture. First of all, let's address the belief in the law of nature. Nothing in this world escapes the law of cause and effect. If you look deeply into any phenomenon, you will see this. All living beings have to accept responsibility for the good and bad results that are due to their actions in the past. Through this concept, we can see the reason for the inequalities of people in this world. Some have the good fortune of wealth, health, and beauty, while others do not. Even in mental and physical capabilities, people are totally different. Why are they so different? Nothing happens by chance. Everything has its cause. Without cause, there is no effect. The main cause of people being different is the law of nature. What one has done in the past will affect the present. What one is doing in the present affects the future. If we plant good seeds, we will grow a good plant, and there will be a good harvest. If we plant bad seeds, we'll grow plants that produce suffering. This law of nature distinguishes people to become inferior and superior. In Buddhism, we call this the law of karma, or the law of cause and effect, or action and reaction. Action in this context refers to physical actions, verbal actions, and mental actions. All of these actions will produce corresponding good and bad results. Scripturally speaking, by actions we mean mental volitions. Mental volitions are always associated 210, just practice with the mind or consciousness. Whether we do good or bad depends on our mental volitions. If there's a good volition associated with the mind, for instance, it will stimulate the mind to have a good thought. Then a wholesome thought starts to take place. This wholesome mental action will subsequently cause physical actions and verbal actions to take place, thereby rendering wholesome deeds and speech. The same is true with bad volitions associated with the mind, which cause unwholesome mental actions, physical actions, and verbal actions to arise. We need to control the starting point in the mind, since all actions generate from the mind. As dictated by our own volition or choice, we have the right to receive the good and bad consequences of that volition or choice. This is how the law of nature works. For example, in the case of someone who commits a crime, he may run away from the law, hide his wealth, use his power or connections, and so on, to avoid legal consequences. But no one can run away from the law of nature, the law of cause and effect. The law of nature may give results to evildoers in this present life, or, if the results of the karma are not yet ripe, the results will come in the next life, or perhaps follow in successive births over many existences in the future. This is how the law of cause and effect takes place. As we get to know the workings of the law of cause and effect, we have to be careful about our words, deeds, and thoughts, because all of the seeds we plant will bear fruits of happiness and suffering, depending on the seeds we plant. The law of nature applies equally or fairly to all living beings. All living beings are the owners of their actions. All of our actions will shape our destinies. We have to be born and live under this authority, so as we get to know the workings of the law of nature, we have to be careful of our actions. In view of this, there's nothing to fear in life or in this world, except our own unwholesome actions, our misdeeds. As we are beings endowed with superior qualities and intelligence, we should make attempts to perfect ourselves and strive to live a life of honor and self-respect. We are extremely fortunate to be in this world. However, if we fail to take this great opportunity to better our lot in life and shape our future, there will be great loss for all of us. By believing in the law of nature and acting accordingly, we can become noble and virtuous. In time, this will lead us to gain peace and happiness in life. Now let's discuss upholding moral conduct. As we are moral beings, we should have morality. To be able to uphold moral conduct, we need to have the qualities of loving kindness, compassion, sympathy, goodwill, contentment, reason, patience, and so 211 the collected teachings of Luang Por Chaya on. These are qualities available to all mankind. Whoever possesses all of these qualities can undoubtedly live in this world peacefully and happily. In our daily life, speaking is necessary. It is an unavoidable thing. Sometimes it may be useful, or it may be dangerous, depending on the way we use it. Right use of our words can be a blessing. On the other hand, wrongly used words can become poisonous. We have to be careful. Sometimes just one word can destroy someone's family, their property, name, fame, happiness, business, and life. It may also cause harm to the country, even leading to war. Many problems and conflicts occur amongst families, societies, and friends due to wrong speech. On the basis of our wrong speech, old friends can turn to enemies, and loving wives and husbands can become like someone else. Then both sides become sad and miserable. As commonly said, wounds caused by words are hard to heal. Avoidance of wrong speech can bring peace and happiness. Wrong speech means telling lies, divisive talk, harsh language, abusive words, and frivolous talk. However, refraining from wrong speech is not good enough. We need to know how to speak rightly. Whenever we have to speak, we should consider the consequences of our words. We should consider whether the words are harmful to oneself and/or others. When we foresee a bad outcome from our words, we should be quiet and not say anything at all. But after considering the words we are going to say, and seeing that they would tend to bring about the welfare and happiness of others, we should go ahead and say them. In terms of the Buddha's teachings, when we have to say something, we should make sure that the words are true, beneficial, reasonable, purposeful, doctrinal, and polite. The words should be in moderation and timely. In other words, at the right time, at the right place, to the right person, and also on the right subject. We have to be careful about this. We especially need to talk from the heart, through our goodwill, and without expecting anything in return. This is excellent guidance from the Buddha on how to speak rightly. In terms of the law of nature, making someone happy or unhappy results in your receiving similar effects of that action in the future. The Lord Buddha not only taught us how to speak rightly, but he also taught us what subjects we should talk about. This was especially done so that we can achieve our goal of spiritual development quickly and effectively. The topics we should be talking about should be favorable to wanting little, contentment, seclusion, not mingling, moral conduct, moral 212, just, practice effort, concentration, wisdom, and the knowledge and vision of deliverance. This is precious advice from the Buddha. Whoever possesses right actions and avoids unwholesome speech will gain peace and happiness in this life. Now, we will discuss right actions. Right action means refraining from killing, stealing, and attachment. All living beings love their lives, possessions, and families. Life is precious to everyone. Everyone is afraid of death. By upholding human dignity, and by having compassion and sympathy for all living creatures, we should offer living beings a chance to be free from getting killed. We should also refrain from stealing and committing sexual misconduct. Instead, we should provide others with the chance to have longevity, help them to live happily and peacefully, support them to gain wealth, provide for the security of their belongings, and encourage them to live in harmony and peace with their families. This is the right way for mankind to act toward their fellow beings in the oceans of life. Whoever possesses these right actions and renders noble effort for the welfare and happiness of others will gain peace and happiness in life. Right action, right speech. In other words, refraining from killing, stealing, sexual misconduct, telling lies, and getting involved with drugs or alcohol. These are universal laws, so we have to abide by them by our own means. This universal law is just, righteous. Whoever respects it will reap the results of peace and happiness. On the other hand, whoever is disrespectful of it will get the results of great suffering. We have to get paid back according to our misdeeds. This is very much in evidence in how the universal law takes place. If you have a chance to interview prisoners, they will tell their stories of what got them into jail, including acts such as murdering, stealing, raping, telling lies, and getting involved with drugs or alcohol. To be perfect in moral conduct also means having right livelihood. Our livelihood should be pure and should consist of moral, physical, and verbal actions. It should include abstinence from selling or trading in such things as poison, weapons, drugs, intoxicants, human beings, and animals for slaughter. Our prosperity should not be had through destroying the lives of living beings. This is not good and fair. This is shameful behavior in the eyes of the virtuous. We need to refrain from immoral actions. Whoever is perfect in moral conduct, whenever he reflects on his own deeds, speech, and livelihood, there's no guilty conscience, no fear of being blamed. Or 213, the collected teachings of Luang Por Chaya accused by others. There's no fear of being punished by the law, and there's no worry of being born in a state of misery in a future life. In other words, he will be proud and satisfied that he lives rightly, purely, and blamelessly, without harming others. Life is short, so by behaving this way you will enjoy your life. Be as a noble and virtuous one, and then you can gain peace and happiness in this life and the next life. Now let's discuss striving for self-improvement. As a part of human nature, in the past we have performed actions both meritorious and demeritorious. We should have a holy heart to change our actions from bad to good and replace our unwholesome, evil actions with good ones. If we don't change and correct our faulty actions and bad habits, there's no one else who can change them for us. There's no one who can purify or defile others. We ourselves are responsible for our purification. By loving ourselves in order to live in this world peacefully and happily, we should have strong resolution to improve and uplift ourselves. No one is perfect by birth, but we can make our lives perfect. As long as we have free will, noble effort, good thoughts, and reason, there's nothing that we cannot achieve. In our daily life, we can plainly see the nature of people around us. Some people possess good physical behaviors, but we do not want to listen to their speech. Other people are very nice in speech, but the way they act is not agreeable. And some people are good in behavior and speech, but are not truly good in the heart. Something seems to be lacking or imperfect. But the most important thing is to examine our own deeds, speech, and thoughts, rather than those of others. Then we can determine just what kind of person we are and what kind of group we belong to. We can ask ourselves, which is greater, our good deeds, our good parts, or our bad parts? After examining ourselves, we will see our shortfalls and weak points, and the good parts as well. There are no secrets in this world. Even if no one else knows, at least you know for yourself what you're thinking and doing. This is why we should have a holy heart and make the right effort to overcome our shortfalls and improve our good parts. Right effort can be classified into 4 categories. 1. Try to make improvement in order to discard unwholesome deeds, speech, and thoughts that used to occur in your 214 just practice life. For instance, if you used to kill animals or lie to others, from now on make the determination to not let it happen again. Don't even think about or reflect on these behaviors again. 2. Use your holy effort to prevent the arising of unwholesome deeds, speech, and thoughts that have never happened before. For example, for your whole life you've never taken anyone's belongings unless they were given to you. Strongly keep in mind for the rest of your life that you will not allow this type of demeritorious action to arise. 3. Use your strenuous effort to cultivate meritorious deeds that you have not yet done in your life. Let's say you never used to practice generosity, observe moral conduct, radiate loving kindness, or practice meditation. After considering the matter and realizing the value of human life, the value of loving kindness, and the good results of meritorious deeds, you start doing those things now. Life is impermanent. All material things are also subject to change, so use your abilities, your deeds, your speech, your thoughts, and your material things to be beneficial to yourself and others. And 4. Use your noble effort to maintain, develop, improve, and enhance wholesome actions that you've been doing. Suppose you used to practice generosity, observe or uphold morality, radiate loving kindness, and practice meditation for 1 hour a day. From now on, make a strong determination to improve your great effort to contribute more material things to whomever and wherever it's necessary. And so on. And you can further develop yourself mentally by increasing your meditation time. By doing so, when you have seen your mental progress, surely you will feel so happy and peaceful. Now, let's go to the last requirement to gain peace and happiness, which is developing mental culture, or practicing meditation. This factor is the most important and an indispensable one to achieving peace and happiness in life. Let me talk briefly about it here. When you practice sitting meditation, you may choose to use your breath, breathing in and breathing out, as your main object of meditation. Or you may choose your abdominal movement, rising and 215, the collected teachings of Luang Por Chaya falling, as your main object of meditation. As long as you're able to focus your mind on the main object of meditation, you will gain peace of mind, moment by moment. Try to focus your mind on your primary object of meditation as much as you can. Every day in our lives, the external 6 sense objects, visions, sounds, odors, tastes, touch, and mental objects are always appearing. Whenever any kind of object appears to our eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, or mind without our being mindful, especially for non-meditators, greed, hatred, or delusion arise, depending on the object. Normally, when it's a desirable object, there is greed. If it is an undesirable object, there is anger or aversion. If it is neither desirable nor undesirable, there is delusion. All of these respectively arise. This greed, hatred, and delusion are the main causes of suffering. They are internal enemies of ours which follow us day and night. There's no modern technology that can eradicate them. But meditation can. Without eliminating and eradicating them, no one can gain genuine peace and happiness. That's why whoever wants to gain real peace and happiness absolutely needs to develop mental culture and practice meditation. In our daily routine, we have to be careful to be aware of any kind of objects appearing to the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, or mind, and make an appropriate mental note, seeing, hearing, and so on. None of the objects that appear last long, and they then disappear swiftly, but without mindfulness, which allows us to gain an understanding of the impermanent nature of these objects. Craving, anger, conceit, jealousy, and wrong views may arise in us. All of these mental states can produce unhappiness and hinder the progress of our mental development. We need to be aware of them. If you're able to direct your attention to meditation objects closely and precisely, you will get to know in every moment that only the object of attention and the observing mind exist. No personalities or egos get involved. As your mindfulness and concentration become mature, and your insight knowledge becomes sharp, you will realize the characteristics of mind and matter as impermanent, unsatisfactory, insubstantial, and uncontrollable. As you practice further, You will get to know the intrinsic nature of mind and body. Through your meditation practice, there's no attachment to mind and matter, or, at least, you will be able to reduce or remove attachment to some extent. Since your attachment will produce your suffering, when 216 just practice you have less attachment, you will have less suffering. Without attachment, there will be no suffering at all. We will contribute to our own obtaining of peace of mind and happiness. As long as you're able to live in the present moment, by observing the current objects of meditation, there's no room for mental defilements to arise. The moment you engage in meditation practice, your morality, concentration, and wisdom are said to be perfect. This morality, concentration, and wisdom are the main causes of happiness. By proceeding further, your meditation insights getting higher and higher, and eventually you will experience eternal peace and the highest of all happiness. So whoever wants to achieve peace and happiness needs to believe in the law of nature, uphold moral conduct, strive for self-improvement, and develop mental culture by practicing meditation. I would like all of you to complete all of these requirements, achieve peace and happiness, and experience the supreme bliss of Nibbana, the cessation of suffering, in this very life. 217.